Hi, everyone. It's kind of surreal to think about how long it's been since I last made a video. Um, Gosh, almost 2 years, like this November. I I don't even know where to begin on how to compress all of what's happened into, 15-minute video. This is also the third time I've tried recording this video, so we'll see if it goes any better. Um, I guess the biggest life update, obviously, I got glasses. Hello. It makes me feel nerdier, which, makes me feel cooler. Well, but in all seriousness, I guess more importantly, I am still in Boston. I didn't quite anticipate being here this long, slash I did. I don't know. I mentally committed when I moved here to 2 years, and I just kind of recently reached a point where it's like, all right, I think I'm going to stay a little bit longer. I'm not quite done. So that's kind of been good to get me out of the decision-making limbo of whether or not to stay here or go back to Reno. Um, but, otherwise, I am still working at Fenway Health here in Boston at the Institute. It's been remarkable. Um, I can't even begin to describe the amount of growth and experience that I have had by working there in the past. It'll have been 2 years this November. Um, it's almost it's so difficult to describe, both professionally and personally. Um, just what I've been able to do. When I first came here, the first project I came here working on has finished, and we're writing papers. We're always writing papers. Um, and then now I'm like, it's just unbelievable to think that, like, I work with other trans people on a daily basis, both as colleagues as well as the community that I get to serve. Um, I'll sit in meeting and I'll look around the room and there are six of us and all six are trans, and I'm like, what? How did I end up here? Like, I don't really know. For a long time, I was used to being the only trans person around, so that's been pretty amazing. And then, just the work that we do, the research we're conducting, it's amazing. I am now working on a study that is specifically transmasculine sexual health, and it's a pretty actually serious contract, and just the fact that it's been funded and it's happening, and I'm part of it, and I'm part of the team with some of the brightest minds in the world on trans health, and I sit in meetings and I'm like, how did I end up here? And so it's amazing, and the team that I work with, it's like being in a family. Um, there's really no place like it, and just the amount of professional growth and different experiences and trust that my supervisor, the organization have put in me to bring these studies to fruition and actually get them going has been just it's just very humbling. Um, and on a personal level, work has just been um, it's been great. It's been so challenging at times though too. Um, Unanticipated challenges. Coming into Boston um, as a trans person and as someone who's conducting research with trans people. There's an interesting overlap of professional and personal. And so even until recently, it was really hard for me to find community in a lot of ways here. Um, because when I step into spaces, especially if it's on behalf of work, um, you don't want to really be that awkward person there who's like researching your own community, and just being able to find support and being able to feel like I can share that. Um, in a similar note, like, Boston's been quite a challenge because in a lot of ways I feel like I've lost my voice, um, which I again didn't anticipate happening. Back in Reno, it was for a long time. I was really one of the few out and very vocal trans people. Now there are more, and it's great. Um, and so I really got used to being one of the only voices, where when I came here, there's so many voices, and there are so many people with varied and different experiences that need to be heard. And in a lot of ways, I kind of silenced myself in saying that your experience is not one that needs to be heard. You need to make space for other people to share theirs. Um, and part of it also comes from the work that we do, and when you sit across from someone and allowing them that space to share their experience, um, it's an interesting challenge, because then I just like have mentally silenced myself in a lot of ways over the past 18 months, and this theme of finding my voice again is something that I really struggled with. And I actually back January or so, I started back with a therapist again. Really, it was just, in a lot of ways, just kind of feeling disconnected, both from community, but also just from myself. There, I had this concept of who I was living back in Reno, and then I step into this new space, and there were just so many aspects of myself that I had not yet explored, and it was really challenging and really difficult and quite unnerving. Just things I was exposed to, and for instance, like I've never been privy to really conversations about racial justice ever in life, and part of that is just product of where I grew up. It is not a racially diverse area. It's not really explored. The only time I ever felt like it was really explored was one course in college, and even then it's a very structured environment, and it was a very white class. So being able to explore this more, I feel like Boston in itself has been so key in my own personal development, because I can explore these issues and have these conversations that I wouldn't otherwise be able to have. But that's not to say that it hasn't been very challenging, and just challenging myself on a personal and emotional level. So part of having a therapist again was just being able to have those conversations with, kind of in a safe and non-judgmental space, and so key. And just this actual theme of finding my voice again is not something that I expected to come up, but it did, and so really that's part of been the silence of online spaces too, is just not feeling like I should be occupying that space and allowing people to have their voices heard, rather than mine. And I'm trying to whenever I go into education, I always like try to hit home the fact that everyone has different experiences, and everyone's experiences are valid, and everyone has the right to share their experience. And yet I'm one of those people that it's like, shut up, Dana. You shouldn't be talking right now. So that's been kind of an interesting dichotomy and struggle. So reminding myself that I do have not only the right, but I have something worth saying, and I guess that's really been something I've been struggling with. So I'm hoping this video in particular is kind of a reintroduction and just a reminder of to share my voice, to speak up. So I'm hoping hoping that happens. And then just otherwise, I don't even know. This, I guess one of the other things too is I've been having a lot of awesome conversations with my dad. I tell him everything that I do in my work. So when I first started and I was working on a study very specific to gay trans men, and I'm talking with him about it, and he's like, "What did you do at work today?" And I was like, "I researched all the different ways people can have sex." And he was like, "What?" So I'm very open about it. But then I feel like all of a sudden we've just like hit this new space where like one of his favorite conversations is around just trans experiences. He's actually going to be doing a TEDx Reno talk in October about his experience and kind of our family's experience with my coming out and with my transition. I'm very nervous about how this is going to go down, because I'm not going to be there, and he's not letting me say the speech ahead of time. But again, recognizing that it's his right to share his experience as a dad, and I think it's going to be so powerful because uh, he's 69 next month, and ex-military and Catholic, and very conservative in a lot of ways, and he is fiercely, fiercely supportive, and fiercely passionate about sharing that support and encouraging other parents to be supportive as well. So it's whew, am I nervous for this talk? But and I keep reminding him, I'm like, stick to the story, Dad. Stick to the story, because he'll be talking with me on the phone, and he bounces a lot of stuff off of me, but I don't know the entire content of the talk. But he bounces stuff off of me, and he's like, well, I'm gonna say that in my opinion is something about trans anything, and I'm like, stop. You are in no way an expert on anything trans. Don't comment. Stick to your story. No one can contradict you on your own story, on your own experience. But if you get into the thing where actually data does exist surrounding that, and you're wrong, that's where I worry. So trying to help him in that. Part of it is also just he's stubborn, and he's like, "Well, I'm saying it's in my opinion," and I'm like, "Stop." Um, so it's actually been so cool to talk with him about, because as he's writing this talk, he's kind of deciding what stories he wants to include, and so he's telling me some of these things that I never knew about, like of my own life. So it's just been such an awesome experience getting to kind of collaborate with him a bit on this and just kind of see his own experience in sharing his own story. Um, I really can't wait. I hope it has the effect that we both hope it will have, um, of just being able to open the minds of other parents, and seeing if this man can be supportive of his son, then I can too. It's very powerful when it comes parent to parent. So I just really can't wait to see what the outcomes are. I am nervous, very nervous about the reaction, from other parents as well as from the community. He is not going to be perfect in his speech, and I can tell you that right now. But at the same time, like he's relatable. He is so relatable as a parent. So I'm much more cognizant and just careful with my language sometimes. Not sometimes, all the time, which can sometimes be silencing as well. But he's doesn't necessarily know the language that I know, so I'm just like, he was constantly. I finally got him to stop saying the gender change, and I was like, just say transition. Just say transition. Oh my gosh. So I finally got him off of that. It's adorable. It's really adorable. So I just can't wait to see the outcome of that. Other news, physically, I will probably make another video about this actually, but I have been off of hormones for about 15 days now, which I'm on a daily androgel, so that is saying something. That's 15 doses, because I'm going through the process of fertility preservation through egg harvesting, which is something I wanted to do pre-T, but I did not have the resources to be able to do it. But now through my insurance, through my employer, I actually do. I'm incredibly lucky and privileged to have access to that. So I had an initial consultation this past Wednesday, and I kind of preemptively went off hormones. So it's going to be an interesting ride. The harvest will happen most likely in November, if timing all works out. So I will probably make a separate update about that, and just talking about that experience of coming off of T after 4.5 years, and then I'll be going on pretty hefty doses of fertility hormones to regenerate kind of ovaries. So, interesting. Another video, I guess. So I hope everyone's doing well. I'm actually feel very good to be back. I always forget how cathartic this can be. So hopefully hopefully, I'll remember that. So bye everyone.